In this lecture, we will discuss how to handle Q&A sessions with confidence. Whether you're presenting in a classroom, a business meeting, or a conference, the way you manage questions can affect how your message is received. A well-managed Q&A session shows your knowledge, builds credibility, and encourages engagement with your audience. In this lecture, you will learn how to structure your responses to questions for clarity and impact, techniques to stay composed under pressure and handle difficult questions, strategies for engaging with your audience to create a productive discussion, handling Q&A sessions effectively. Q&A sessions can be unpredictable. Some questions will be straightforward, while others may be challenging, off-topic, or even confrontational. The key is to remain composed and respond in a way that maintains your credibility and keeps the discussion on track. Let's examine strategies for handling questions with confidence. Structuring your responses for clarity and impact. When answering questions, your goal should be to provide clear and concise responses that support your presentation rather than distract from it. Here's how to structure your answers effectively. Listen carefully. Give your full attention to the person asking the question. Avoid interrupting or assuming what they mean before they finish. If needed, take a brief pause before responding. Paraphrase for clarity. If the question is unclear, restate it in your own words before answering. This ensures you understood correctly and gives you a moment to organize your thoughts. Example: if I understand correctly, you're asking about how this strategy applies in a remote work setting. Is that right? Answer directly and concisely. Stay focused on the key point. If a question requires a detailed explanation, break it into smaller parts or offer a brief summary before elaborating. Avoid unnecessary tangents. Provide examples when needed. If a concept is complex, use an example to illustrate your point. This makes your answer more engaging and easier to grasp. Acknowledge when you don't know. It's okay not to have every answer. Instead of guessing, say, "That's an interesting question. I don't have the exact answer right now, but I can look into it and follow up." This maintains your credibility rather than undermining it. Staying composed under pressure. Handling tough questions requires confidence and composure. Here's how to manage pressure effectively. Pause before answering. Taking a moment to gather your thoughts prevents rushed or unclear responses. A short pause also makes you appear more thoughtful and composed. Control your body language. Maintain eye contact, stand or sit upright, and use open gestures. Avoid fidgeting, crossing your arms, or looking away, as these can signal discomfort. Breathe and slow down. Nervousness can lead to speaking too quickly. Focus on steady breathing and moderate pacing to project confidence. Stay professional with difficult questions. Some questions may be critical or even hostile. Instead of reacting defensively, stay calm and respond objectively. Example: if someone aggressively challenges your point, say, "I appreciate your perspective. Let's explore this further. What specific concerns do you have?" This keeps the discussion productive. Redirect if needed. If a question is off topic or too complex for the session, acknowledge it and suggest discussing it later. Example: "That's a great question, but outside today's focus. I'd be happy to continue this conversation afterward." Engaging with the audience during Q&A. A successful Q&A session is not just about answering questions. It's about fostering engagement and maintaining control of the discussion. Here's how to do that. Encourage participation. Instead of waiting for questions, invite them. Example: before we move on, does anyone have a question or a different perspective? Repeat the question for everyone. If the audience is large, repeat the question before answering. This ensures everyone hears it and allows you to refine it if necessary. Manage dominant questioners. Some people may ask too many questions, preventing others from participating. Acknowledge their engagement but shift to others. Example: "That's an interesting point. Let's hear from someone who hasn't spoken yet." Keep the session on track. If a question leads the discussion away from the main topic, steer it back. Example. That's a valuable discussion, but let's focus on today's subject. We can revisit this afterward. End on a strong note. Conclude the session with a summary or a final question that reinforces key points. Example. That was a great discussion. Before we wrap up, here's one final question to think about. How will you apply these strategies in your next presentation?